Hello guys, welcome back. Welcome to the paper 2 live stream. Before I start, can you guys hear me? Because every time I do this, I always mess up. So let's get that cleared. Okay. So today we will do paper 2 like promised, like you can see in the title. I did the paper 1, the response was good. Everyone wanted the paper 2, so yeah, I guess it's here. So we will start off with the flowcharts and finding errors, query tables, all those types of questions that usually come on paper 2s, and then we'll go over the pre-release where we'll have a look at the pseudocode. But again, I think most of the people don't have the same pre-release because I do variant 1 while many others do variant 2, variant 3. So I think it would be only fair if we start off with this and then we look at the pseudocode later. Okay, so I guess that's the agenda for today, and you can see a question on your screen which is flowchart. So we'll start off with flowcharts. I don't know how long we will do flowcharts, but we're going to start off with this. So I'm hoping that you've already revised a bit and you're just here to clear up some doubts, some problems that you might be facing. And so this first question here is from 2021. Okay, let me just set up some stuff. Okay. By the way, paper one was quite easy. That's what I was told. But even if you messed up, paper 2 is the easier one according to me, because you see, paper 2, it's all about logic, right? Paper 1, it's either you know or you don't know. But with paper 2, that's where you can earn your marks, because first of all, it's only 50 marks, right? And we already know 20 marks. So that itself can be really helpful. And then you see the section B is also quite easy, because flowcharts, trace tables, those are quite easy. So you don't really have to be scared for paper 2, because it's almost the same thing again and again. So what we'll do in today's live stream will also probably most likely come in tomorrow's live stream. Like in my previous live stream, the predictions I gave, you see, I told you it came, right? The same thing came. I told you conversions will come, I told you logic gates will come, and I almost broke down the entire paper 1, wasn't it? Because you see, it's always the same thing again and again, right? So if you did well in P1, which is more marks, right, 75 marks, and usually grade boundaries are quite low for that paper, P2 should be good. Okay, so here we have a question. Okay, let me just quickly zoom in so you guys can see. I'm hoping you guys can see, right? Please, can you go through questions specific to the pre-release? Yeah, I'll do that in the end, okay, because it's only fair, because not everyone has the same pre-release, right? But I will do that, okay? So let's first focus on the section B part, and then we look at the pseudocode, we look at questions that would come, we look at the arrays, we look at, all sorts of stuff like that. So don't worry about that. Okay, but for now, let's go over the section B, and we're going to start off with flowcharts, because flowcharts almost always come. So let's begin with this. So it starts by saying the algorithm shown by this flowchart. The algorithm shown by this flowchart allows the input of examination marks for a class student. Okay, and then it says a mark -1 ends the process. So this is quite important, okay, because then whenever it's -1, you already know it ends. So if I go to the question, okay, -1 is lost, meaning I'll have to execute all of this in the flowchart. But you see, if it's in the middle, then you already know that the other input values won't be executed, if you know what I mean. Okay, if you know what I mean. Where you don't have to actually memorize the pre-release, as long as you understand how everything works. That's the better way to do computer science. You don't have to memorize your code. You will not do that well if you memorize your code. Okay, maybe you will get away with some tasks, but then the tasks which it tells you to change or alter your code, that's where the problems will be. So the main thing is, you're not supposed to memorize it, but you have to understand it. Yeah, exactly. So let's begin. Okay, so this information is very important here, that -1 ends the process. If the mark is over 80, right, or over the distinction grade is awarded, and the number of distinctions for the whole class is calculated. If this is over 50% of the class, then the class is awarded a highly commended certificate. So this is just some additional information that you're supposed to know. So this is a quite straightforward flowchart. The first thing you need to know about the flowchart is always follow the arrows. Okay, always follow the arrows. So that's the way you do it. Okay, how do you understand the code? Is someone is asking that. Now the way you understand it is by doing it yourself. Don't rely on someone else. Don't rely on copying your friends pre-release, because if you do that, then okay, fine, what they did is not going to be the same for what you understand. Everyone has their own way to do something. Okay, there can be many ways to the same answer, so that's the way you do it. Okay, so let's go. So here we start off. Usually they give you variables here. So here it's a counter 0, distinction 0. Okay, and the first thing starts input mark. So wherever it is input, okay, that's where you would put these answers right here. Okay, so wherever it's input, those will be that's where you would put all these values right here. They would be your input value. Okay, so let's begin. So it says we have to input mark. So the first mark will be an input. Okay, and where will the mark be? Mark will be here, 81. We have to input that mark, so of course it will be there. Okay, but before we go to that, remember the variables were 0 and 0. So actually let's write that first. So let's start by writing the two variables which were both 0, which were counter, which was 0, and distinction, which was 0. So we start off with that, because in the question they have first given us the variables that counter is 0 for now and distinction is 0 for now. So you start off by writing that. Okay, and then the next thing is that you have to input mark. So mark will be, of course, any input value will be the one that's given in the question. So in this case it will be 88. So the mark will be here, will be 88. So this is quite straightforward, isn't it? You just keep doing this again and again and again. So let's move on. We follow then the chart. Is the mark -1? No, it's not. So we go down. We do counter, is counter plus 1. Counter was 0, so now it will be 1. So counter will be 1. Just follow, keep following the steps, right? And then we go down. Is the mark greater than 80? What is our mark? Our mark was 88. Yes, it is greater than or equal to 80. So you go yes, and you go up here, distinction plus 1. So again, here it will be 1. Okay, here it would be 1. We move on then. Okay, then it says you go all the way back and you start by inputting it again. So we're done with the first one. It's as simple as that. So the main the main objective for this, or the main purpose of the flowchart, is to actually just input it and then follow the arrows. As simple as that. So these are literally free marks, but remember, the way the marks are allocated in this question, you miss one. If you miss one answer, then the entire column will be wrong. So there's nothing like only one is wrong. You'll get the entire mark wrong. Okay, so that's how it works. Can you do the possible questions? Yeah, so we decided that I'll do that in the end, because it's only fair we start off with the questions that everyone gets, because you see people have different pre-releases, but I'll be focusing on the pre-release for variant 1. Okay, but many other people have variant 2. I think that's more common, more popular, but then variant 1 is what I will be doing. Okay, so we'll have a look at the different questions for variant 1. I'll also have a look at some pseudocode stuff, but for now let's have a look at this. Okay, so we move on to the next mark. Mark is 74. Okay, so we move on to 74. So we'll input 74. Okay, these are 74. So we say here input 74, right? Input 74. So this 74 is mark -1. It is not -1, so you go down, counter plus 1, so counter will become 2 now. So counter will become 2. And then distinction. Okay, we go down. Okay, is mark greater than and equal to 80? No, it's not. So you go all the way back up. So nothing happens to the rest. Okay. So nothing happens to that. So we can skip that. Okay, we move on to the next input. The next input is 60. So we go over to 60. Is the mark -1? No. Is the okay? So we'll do counter plus 1 again here. So counter will be 3 this time, and it is below 80, so we will go all the way back again. So straightforward. So we have done with 88, we're done with 74, we're done with 60, so 90 now. Okay, now I'll already predict counter will be 4, distinction will be 2. I'm not going to waste my time because I already know it. This will be 84, this will be 5, this will be 3. Okay, so you can see now once when you know the entire flowchart, I've already memorized it. So 87 is greater than 80, hence why this will be 6, this will be 4. The next one, 95 is greater than 80, hence 5, and this one will be 7. The next one is 72 is lower than 80, so this will be the same, but this one will go up by 1. Then 84 is greater than that, boom. And then the last one, 66, so 66 and then 10, but 66 is lower than 10. Now you see the last input is -1, so if it's -1 we go this route. So it says award distinction divide by counter, so distinction divide by counter. So here it'll be -1. So we are supposed to do distinction, which is 66 divided by 10, which is it 0.6 or what? Yeah, it'll be sorry, you do 6 divided by 10, which is 0.6. Okay, and then it says that if it's greater than 0.5, then I have to write highly commended. So we'll write highly commended. Now this one you don't have to include your speech marks, so highly commended. Okay, so that's the first question done. Okay, that is the first question done. Will this be re-uploaded? Yes, it will, so don't worry about that. For the blank columns, okay, so now for the blank columns you can repeat 1 but then you know, it's not a must to repeat them, but again this is just repeated. Okay, but if you leave it blank, what that means is that the top one is repeated. Okay, that's what it mainly means. Okay, can you put distinction 1? What do you mean by 1? Okay, you just have to follow the stream. Okay, just follow the stream. Could you do the October November paper 2 flowchart, please? Okay, so I'm done with this one. Let's go over to that one then. So October November, right? What year is it? Is it for this year? Because this one is 2-1. So let's do for 2-2. Okay, so I think maybe you're talking about this one, and we shall do this one. Okay, here's the flowchart. Is this the flowchart we'll do? Okay, yeah, let's do this flowchart now. Sorry. Now flowcharts are easy. Okay, so you want for 2020. Okay, let's do 2020 then. 2020. So flowcharts 3 marks, I think, but still you need to know how to do them. Sometimes, you know, if you miss the easy stuff, you can get them wrong, right? You can get them wrong. So always advisable to do even the easier stuff. Okay, we'll come back to that later, but let's do this one then first. This flowchart, someone has told us to do it. Where's the flowchart? Okay, it's not a flowchart, it's a pseudocode. So I mean, you can do the pseudocode as well. Okay, you can do the pseudocode. Okay, let's do the pseudocode. So here is another type of question. Can you do errors and algorithms, please? Yes, I will. Just after this. So we'll start off with flowchart, then we'll go to that, then we'll do query tables, and then we'll finally end off with the pre-release questions. Okay, so that's the agenda for today's live stream. I think that's what we are going to do. So right now, give all the questions you have for flowcharts. So we'll do all that first. Okay, so yeah, that's what we'll do. So let's start off. So here it says the pseudocode represents an algorithm. Let me zoom in a bit. And it says that this pseudocode basically is just, okay, so repeat flag until count. Okay, so this is the pseudocode. Yeah, and it says the content of the array at the start of the algorithm is this. Okay, so that is the algorithm, and we are supposed to complete the trace table. Okay, so let's begin. Let us begin. So it starts off by saying flag is 0, so we're going to start off by saying flag is 0. Okay, so every time they give you the variables, you will always start off with that. So if flag is 0, then you start off flag is 0. Then it says for count 0 to 3, so that means 0 first. Okay, many people will say 1, but remember in computer science it starts off with 0. Okay, it starts off with 0. That's how you do it. Okay, because 0 to 3 will mean 0, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, that's how it mainly works. Okay, we move on then. We move on. It says if num count, so num count is num 0, right? If 45 is less than num count plus 1, less than what? Less than 1 plus 1, so less than 56. Is 45 less than 56? Okay, then what do we have to do? It says store is equals to num count. So store is equals to num count. So what's the num count? What's the store, sorry? The store will therefore be 45. Okay, do you guys understand that? It's saying that, okay, so here the count in this case will be from 0, 1, 2, 3, yeah? And these are the ones. So they've given us, if it's 0, then it's 45. If it's 1, it's 56. So the first one, the count is 0. So when it's num 0, it will be 45. And when it's num 1, it will be 56. So is 45 less than 56? It is. Okay, it is less than 56. So after it's less than 56, store will be the num 0 or the current num value. Okay, do you guys understand that? So that's quite straightforward. We're going to do 0984. Okay, now I think there's similar syllabuses. So, but even if you have a particular question for that, we can do that. Okay, if any flowchart would work for any syllabus. Okay, so that's the first one done. Let me write this more neatly. Okay, that's the first one done. Okay, we move on. This is 0478 here. Yeah, can we be asked to draw a flowchart? Now usually they give you the options whether you can or whether you're not. What year are you solving? I'm solving 2020 October November variant 22. Okay, so you can do this together with me. Okay, the next one then, so num count plus 1. Okay, so the count will now become another one. So then this. Okay, so what happens to the store? Okay, so num count will now become num count plus 1. Okay, so this will now become this. Okay, and flag becomes 1. So now so nothing happens to this. Okay, nothing happens to this. Okay, so the store is just simply 45 for this. Okay, hopefully you understood till there. But we move on to the next one. So the next one is 56. Okay, now 56, the flag is 0 again, but the num count now is still 0. It is still 0. Okay, because you see the num count here, okay, which is in this case num 0 will equal to num 0 plus 1, which is num 1. Okay, so that's how it works. So 56 here, and then is 56 less than 56? It is not, so you do nothing here. Okay, we move on to the next one. The next one will be 45. Now 45, flag will be 0. Okay, flag will be 0. Again, flag will be, no, flag will be 1, isn't it? Because it says flag is now 1. Okay, so flag will be 1 here. Okay, so 1 will be there. Okay, so then that 45, okay, look, let me erase this. Let's do this again. This is a bit more challenging one, but you really need to understand about the num and then about that. So let's see. So the first question, if we zoom in, right, let's understand this better. Let's understand this. So first of all, it's saying that the contents of the array is 45, 56, 30, 12 and 50. Okay, We start off with the first cycle. Okay, let's start off this again. Okay, first of all, it's saying flag is 0. Okay, so we have to first of all repeat this until the flag is 0. Okay, until flag becomes 0. Okay, so if flag is 0 here, remember now, you see what it'll do is whenever we repeat this loop, okay, flag will always be 1. Okay, whenever this loop is repeated, the flag will always be 1, so it will never be 0 until, you know, something changes. So I know it's written here flag is 0, but that won't end the program. Okay, it will only end the program once it ends the if. Okay, I don't know if you guys understand that. So this is a more tricky one. Okay, I'll explain that again. So in this pseudocode, right, in this pseudocode we have a loop, okay, and it will keep repeating again and again. So it has to repeat and then repeat. It will only repeat once when the flag becomes 0. Okay, so let's see. If the flag is 0 here, for count 0 to 3, so here the count would be 0. So I'll write count here is 0. Then if num0, so num0 is 45. If 45 is less than the count here is, remember, 0, so 0 plus 1 is 1. If 45 is less than 56, then we do all this. That's the main idea. Then we do all that. So then store will become num count. So store will become 45 in this case, and we did that. So store will become 45. Okay, and then it says that num count will then become num count plus 1. So that means that 45 is now going to become 56. I don't know if you guys understood that. Okay, so now num count was 45, wasn't it? Or num0, sorry. Num0 actually. Num0 is now 56. This, you need to understand this concept. That num0 is now 56 because they said that num count is equals to num count plus 1. So this num0 will be equal to 56 because that is what num1 is. So this is a more complex one. This is a way more complex one. Okay, but usually it's not as complex as this, but it's fine. It then says that num count plus 1. Okay, remember count is still 0 here. So now this num, whatever this num is, which in this case will be 1, is what store is. Hence why it is 45. Hence why it is 45. Okay, so a bit tricky, but I'm trying to understand the best. Okay, so this is of course the first cycle. It'll take some time to understand, but then once when you get the gist of it, you'll understand. Okay, once when you get the gist of it, you'll understand. And then it finally says that flag is become 1. Okay, then it says the flag is equal to 1. So in the next one, if we repeat, let's repeat this now, okay, to the next cycle. Let's repeat this to the next cycle. Okay, now the new num0 is what? 56, remember that. Okay, now look, the num0 is become 56. This is a complicated question, but then I'll try my best to explain it, okay, because they've really complicated it. But let me show you. Okay, so now this flag, right, this flag, okay, it's still 0. So now what is count? Count has become 1. Okay, now count has become 1. Okay, so it says for count 0 to 1. So we did the first cycle, we do the second cycle. So now count is 1. Is num1 less than num2? Is 56 less than 30? Is 56 less than 30? It's not. So therefore we do nothing. And therefore this row we do nothing. As everyone understood that. That's the reason why we did nothing else here. Okay, so let's move on to the next cycle. Let's move on to the next cycle. Okay, remember now num0 is actually 56. I'm going to keep reminding you because they told you to change it here. Okay, so we do that again. This time what will count be? This time count will be 2. Okay, this time count will be 2. So is num2 less than num3? Is num2 less than num3? It's not. Okay, it is not. It is not. Okay, so is num2 less than num3? Right? If is num2 less than num3? It's not, right? Because num2 is 30. Is 30 less than 12? Okay, it's not. Hence why, again, you will do nothing here. Okay, hence why you'll do nothing here. Even the flag will still be 0. Okay, the flag will be 0. So we continue. So here again it will be 0. We move on to the next one. Okay, this is a quite complicated one. How many marks is it? It's only 5 marks. Wow, only 5 marks for this. Okay, we move on to the next one. This time count is 3. Okay, flag is again 0. Flag again 0. Okay, so let's begin. So this one now, the count is 3. Okay, this time the count is 3. Okay, hence why the count will be now let's see, so it'll be 1 here now. This one right here is a complicated one. This one is a tough question. Okay, because it's saying that that the flag is becoming 1 now. Does that mean that this time here the flag becomes 1? Does this mean that the flag becomes 1 here? So here it becomes 1, isn't it? The flag becomes 1 here, because here, see, we said that it becomes 1. Okay, so let's just keep moving on. We go to num2. Okay, we just go to num2. Skip this question. Well, this question seems I don't know. Let's see. I think they must have really they must have. Let's look at the marking scheme for this, because this question seems so was it 2-2? Let me show you why it doesn't make that much sense. Look at this, because it's telling us that, let's see this though. Where was it? Let's see this though. Okay, here it is. So they've got 45, 56. Okay, that's the first row. That one we got the first row, isn't it? First row we got. Even this row we got. Okay, even this row we got. But the next row, it's saying 1 and 45. Where is it? What question was it? Here. 1 and 45. Okay, yeah, so we even got 1 and 45. Okay, but here, where is count becoming 1? Why is count becoming 1 there? Why is count becoming 1 there? Because you see, count is always incrementing again and again and again. So you see, there's some problem here. Either I think there's made an error here, or what are we missing? Okay, or what are we missing? Because you see, even then, if flag was kept changing like this, where is this coming from? You see, you get what I mean? We can get a normal flowchart question. We did that in the start, didn't we? Like this type of question. These are the more common questions. Okay, so let's do this question. So let's hold on to that question. I'll have a look at this. I'll think about this actually, because you see, there seems like a problem, because the count, how is it changing from 0, 1, 2, 3, and then again 0, 1, 2, 3? Okay, and the plus the marking scheme, they're never always clear. They just write out the answers. So we did this flowchart. This one was a very easy flowchart. Same to this one. Let's have a look at this one then. Someone told us to do this flowchart, so we begin with this flowchart. So it starts off, list is 0, list 1 and is 0. Okay, so yeah, we start off with that. So list 1 and list 2 will be 0. So here always start off with 0. So this one we can even speed up here. So here it'll both be 0, so we have done that. Then we input the list. Okay, so let's input the list. Input the list would be 2 here. Okay, you move on to the next one though. Okay, so you input the list. So the main purpose of that, the first part, usually in the variables, you give it its own column. Okay, and you just give it its own column. Okay, then we move on. So that's 2, and then we see what happens next. It says, is the list so here list is 2 right now. Is the list equals to -1? No, it's not. So input value. So what's the value in this case now? 1 second. So here it was input list and then input value. Okay, so we input list. Okay, so list here will be what? 2, yeah, because that's what we input first. So we input list is 2, and then we input the value, it says, yeah, because we go down and we input the value. So the value would be 77. After the value is 77, okay, we go down. Is the list equals to 1? Is the list equals to 1? No, it's not. It's equals to 2. So we go down. Is list equals to 2? Yes. So list 1 is equals to list 2 plus value. You guys got that? So list 2 is equals to list 2 plus value. List 2 is 0 right now, and the value is 77. So the answer will be here, as list 2 will be 77. Okay, we move on to the next one. So we're done with the first 2. The next one, again it's 2. Okay, again it's 2. So let me rub this. So it's just going again in cycles. Okay, so this time the list is 2. So list is 2. So we go on here, right, list is 2. We did that. Is the list -1? No, it's not. We go down, we input value. The value here will be 16. Okay guys, give me a second. One. Yeah, exactly. So we move on now. Okay, so it says is list, okay, where were we? So we said that is the list 1. What's the list right now? The list right now is 2 again, so it's not. So again here, then we go down. How much does section A count? It's 20 marks. Yeah, so list 2 is here, so yes. Okay, so list 2 now is going to be 77 plus the value, which is 16. So 77 plus 16 will be 1393. Okay, it will be 93. So here we write 93. We move on to the next one. This is a quite boring flow chart here. It's quite boring, but it's easy, right? So we input list now. What is list this time? List is 1. Okay, list is 1. And it says, is the list -1? No, it's not. We go down, we input value. What's the value? Value is 35. Okay, is the value 1? No, it's not. Is this 2? No, it's not. Input error. Okay, if is it equals to 2? It's not. Is it equals to 1? It's not. So we output error. So we say input error. Okay, so we write here input error. We move on to the next one. Then you go start again. We input list will be 2 here. And then it says this one, it's no. So is list 2? Yes, it is. So list 2 is equals to 93 plus the value. What's the value? The value we put here the value is -7, right? So you do -7 plus 93, which is 86. So here it will be 86. And we continue, so we have done all the way till here, -7. So we move on to the next one. 5 is listed -1. No, it's not. We input the value. So let's input the value. The value will be 5 is list equals to 2. Nope. Input error. Okay. So here another input error. Okay, we move on. We continue. So here done. We move on. This time it's 18. And then we input the value. The value will be 1. And then it will be an input error again. Okay, so this one is 2 done. Then this one is 11. And this one is 1 again. So again it will be an input error. So you can see how boring this thing is. So it's a boring pseudocode. But yeah. So 11, 1 done. And then here it's 12. Here it's 2. So here it will be 2 plus 86, isn't it? 2 plus 86 is 88. Okay, it will be 88. So we do these two, then 20. And this 20 will now, let's see. What will it be? Can I do query table? Yeah, I'll have a look at this later. So it'll be 20 and it'll be -1. I think this will end the program. Okay, so list 2 will be what? Is it 1 or it's not? Okay. Once when list is -1, we have to output list 1 is list 1. Okay, so you can see these flowcharts are so like they're direct, you know, they're not really that many types of complication. So once when it becomes -1, which is here, you just have to say that list 1 is, we go with 0, and then list 2 we got was 88, sorry, and then you just say list 2 greatest. Okay, so that's the one done. Let's do the query table here. Let's do this query table. I think we're done with flowcharts. Flowcharts are boring, isn't it? And I think the main thing about flowcharts, just follow the arrows and you'll be good to go. I think that's the main thing you really have to do. So let's not waste so much time on flowcharts, on the easy stuff. Let's move on to things that maybe you might struggle with. But again, query tables are also easy. The main thing you need to know is you need to know what primary key is. You need to know fields, what fields are. Okay, even understand that. So in this case, it says identify the field that has a boolean. Remember, boolean is false or it's true. Okay, so anything that could have false or is true would be something like that. So here you can see in stock says whether the product is in stock or not. So if it is in stock, then true. If it is not in stock, false. So this would be in stock. Identify the field that be used as a primary key is anything that is unique. So anything that has something called unique, like the product ID, that would be the primary key. So you can see this one is quite straightforward. That would be the product key. Now, how do you do the query table? So we start off with the field. The field is always the ones they ask you. So if we go to the highlighter and we say, it says that complete the query by example to output the products instead of for a cat that are in stock, intended for a cat. So we have to output the products intended for a cat that are in stock. Display only the primary key and the name of the product, and the output should be sorted by the primary key. Okay, so look here. So we will first of all need, of course, the product ID. Okay, we will need the product ID. So we'll write here product ID. We'll then need the product name because it says output the product intended for the cat in stock. So of course we need the product name. Okay, then we will need animal, and then we will need in stock. Okay, because it says display only the primary key and the name of the product. So we have to display the name of the product. We have to display the primary key. The primary key is the product ID, hence why we have product ID in this. Okay, and then of course we have the animal, which will tell us whether it's a cat or not, and then in stock whether if it's stock or not. Okay, that's how we get it. The table is always the same for each, which is stock. Sorry for the bad in writing. So stock for each of them. Stock for each of them. And it says we have to only show the primary key and the name of the product. So we only show product ID, which was our primary key, and the name of the product. It then says output the products intended for a cat, only for a cat. So here you'd write cat. The criteria should be a cat, and that are in stock. So the thing should be yes or true. You can write any of that. So this was an easy question. We did it. Okay, so we're done with this. So the main thing what you're supposed to do here, right, is you have to highlight, take your highlighter, take your or underline something on the question of the query table. You need to have a look at the, you just have to highlight. You have to highlight all the fields that you need. Let's do another query table. Let's do this query table. Okay, many times they ask you these types of questions. Yeah, okay, sorry about that. So yeah, this question many times they can ask you. Okay, many times they can ask like give the category data type. So what you need to know for the data type, okay, we have how many types of data types. Okay, this time they've even given us the data type. So we have text, number, currency, and boolean. Let's go over each of the data types. So boolean is false or true. Yeah, boolean is true or false. Then currency, anything related to price or money. Numbers is only integers. Okay, and then text is only strings. So let's see, category data type 1. Okay, for a category, what data type do you need for a category? You can see they all are written, they all are in text, so of course you need a text. Okay, so you just say the reason would be that all data is in text, or you could write in strings. That's the reason why. We move on to price. Price would be what? Price would be either in this, so of course it'll be currency. Okay, because price shows the currency, isn't it? So price shows. The paper that I'm currently doing is October-November 2021. For those people wondering, and I'm doing the last question, the query table. Okay, we're doing the query table. Okay, so price here is currency because the price is in dollars or in a certain currency, because dollars is a currency. Then for code, which one do we need? It's a unique code like this. Okay, and it'll be text. So whenever there is text and numbers, you always pick the text. It's also the same thing for Python. You always pick string then. Okay, so, and then the reason would be could be numbers or characters. Okay, and the final one, stock, is the number in stock, so it literally comes from its name that you need number. Okay, and then this one you would say calculations may be required. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You get 4 marks for that. Okay, can we say a sequence of letters written by keyboard for the text? So I think the best way to write for text, yeah, just write sequence of text. No, I think that one would be just write characters maybe, or only words is used. That would give you all the marks. Okay, so just write all words are written in this. So anytime there's words, you always use text. Anytime there's dollars, something like that, you use currency. Anytime there is something related to numbers, you write numbers. Okay, so it's so straightforward. Okay, so let's over to this query table. Okay, and this query table is telling us, take your highlighter and look at this, to display only the category, okay, manufacturer, code of the appliances with an economy rating of A. So therefore, with this information, category is the first field that I find. Category is the first field that I find. Okay, then you can see there's manufacturer, that's the second field. Then there's code, which is the third field. Okay, and then there is economy, what's it called, economy rating or what, economy rating, yeah, and that's the third field. The fourth field is economy rating. Okay, so let's write all the fields. The first field is category, the second field is manufacturer, then it's code, and then it's economy rating. The table will all be the same. The table will always be, they usually give it to the question and it says the database table is called appliance, so that will always be your table. So the appliance is what I will write here throughout. Okay, appliance, then appliance. Okay, sorry for the bad handwriting, but yeah. It says we only display category, manufacturer, and code of appliances. So we only do these three, not the last one. But it says economy rating of only A. That's it. That is it. Pretty much that is it. Yeah, this stuff is quite easy, like someone is saying. This type of stuff quite easy. Don't really stress. Don't really stress. Do we go to the pre-release now? I think query tables, at the end of the live stream again, I'll go through this all again. Okay, I'll go through this again, but the main things you need to know for paper 2, okay, look at this. The things you need to know is, first of all, query tables always come, always usually the last question. Flowcharts, or in terms of pseudocode, would come, but you have to get the trace tables. And then detecting errors. Now the trick for detecting errors is you have to understand what the algorithm is doing. Okay, that is the main thing. Okay, so you need to understand what is the algorithm, what is the purpose of the algorithm. Okay, let's do a question on one before going to the pre-release actually. Okay, there is no question here, but the main thing is you need to have a look at the purpose of the algorithm. If the algorithm wants to output this, then you have a look at that, and so the main purpose to find the error, you have to understand the algorithm. Okay, so that's the main trick for this. That is the main trick. Okay, that's the main trick. Okay, so if I go to this whiteboard, yeah, let's go over everything. Let's just revise it through everything. Okay, first thing, so for errors, what do you need to know about errors? Okay, you have to, first of all, you have to understand the algorithm. Okay, understand the algorithm. Okay, look out for, let me tell you which ones you look out for. Look out for number 1, the input or output. Many times what is supposed to be output, they put as input. Okay, and many times what you're supposed to input, they put as output. Look out for that. The next thing they can trick you is with values. Okay, so like greater than 99 example instead of greater than 999. That's another thing you need to have a look at. Okay, many times they give you the wrong value. Okay, so you need to understand the fact that maybe that could be one reason. The next one may be for loop. Okay, number of times repeated. Okay, you need to have a look at that. Okay, so many times, right, you are given this code, and usually you're supposed to identify 5 errors. Usually you're told to identify 5 errors, and what you're supposed to do, right, the main thing is you have to understand that algorithm. If the algorithm wants you to increment by 1, then ensure that in the code it is incrementing by 1. That is the main trick for this. Okay, that is the main trick for this. Okay, so that is how it works. Okay, that is how it works. So that's the error. How you can tackle the error questions. That is how you do that. That's mainly what you do. Let's move on to the other ones. Let's move on to flowcharts. Flowcharts. What you need to know here is read the question. Okay, and what in the question, what you need to look out is for -1 to stop value or 1 to stop the algorithm. You need to look at these values so that you don't keep going on and on and on. Okay, you need to look at these values, either it's -1, either it's 1. So always read the question and get to know this. Okay, so that you need to know. That's the main thing about flowcharts. Just follow the arrows. Okay, and the input is always given in the question. So if it says input value, okay, if it tells you to input the value, that is when you have to input what the question or what the the answer in the question says. Okay, so that's how you do it. Then what else do you need to know? We move on to query tables. These are the most common questions that most likely will come for query tables. What do you need to know for query tables? You need to know primary key. Primary key, remember, is unique. Okay, you need to know that this is something that is unique. The next thing you need to have a look at is the data types. Okay, the data types. In the data types, what you're supposed to look at is whether it is Boolean, whether it is string, whether it is a number or a integer. You need to have a look at this, whether it's currency. That is what you need to look at under the data types. Okay, and then finally you need to have a look at the fields. Look through the questions. Okay, because many times in the questions they say which one you output, which one you don't output. That's what you need to look under fields. Okay, that's what you have to look under fields. Okay, that's the main thing you need to have a look at. Okay, is that clear? That is the main. This is all for section B. Section B. This is all for section B. Okay, this is all for section B. Mainly those are the 3 questions tested. Okay, so you need to know your flowcharts, you need to know that, and then you need to know your query tables. Many other times they can ask you some small here and there programming statements. Here and there you're told to do the programming statements, and that's when you do it. Okay, that is when you learn it. But mainly this is what you need to know. That's it. Okay, now do we go over the pre-release? Errors are not hard. You see, you just need to understand the algorithm. Okay, you need to understand the algorithm for you to understand the errors, and usually they only come around 5 marks, but they come in plenty. So we talked about how to look at errors. Remember, usually look out for input, output. Yeah, then you have a look at the values. Okay, and then more. Let's see. Yeah, so that's the main thing. So let's go over the pre-release now. Yes, variant 1 pre-release. Okay, so for section A, what do you have for advice? Okay, so we're going over section A now. So this was all section B. Section B is moreover quite easy, right? Section B, know your errors, know your flowcharts, know your query tables, then know the validations, verifications, those types of stuff. I can't really go through this stream because that one you just need to know the definitions. Okay, Z notes, they're not bad for the definitions. Go over what verifications are, go over what validations are, go over what subroutines are. Those types of topics, you just need to remember the meanings of everything. Okay, there's not a lot of practice that you can do that. You just need to know the theory for that. That's the main things on how you can do better than that. Yeah, so let's go over the CView peer 1. Wait, is section A into 1? Yeah, so section A is about pre-release. It's 20 marks. and section B is 30 marks. The entire paper is 50 marks. Section B, what we usually have is we have errors, we have flowcharts, and then we end off with query tables. And then of course in between we have usually some questions on programming, some questions on while loops, for loops, and not all you have to look at that. Is the textbook good? Yeah, the textbook is quite good. I think the Cambridge textbook, I think, is it that one is not bad. The one for Python, that one is not bad. The purple book, the purple textbook, it's not bad. Like there's the chapter where it goes over the pre-release, which is not bad. So now let's go over the flowchart. Give me a second, guys. Let's go over the flowchart. So what I'm going to do is, let's go over the pre-release. Okay, let us go over the pre-release and we'll go over it step by step. Give me a second, 1 second, guys. Let me go and get the pre-release. We will do each tasks in Python and then we'll convert them to pseudocode. So give me a second. Okay, so what I'll do is I will copy and paste. I get 4 marks in paper 2. Ask me. Okay, that's good. That's good for you. Okay, so let me add. Actually, let me drop this. So that's the main things you need to know for that. Now, so what I'm going to do is I have the pre-release here, the one that I did on my channel. Okay, the one that I did on my channel. Okay, so let me open it up. Give me a second, guys. So by the time, if you have any questions on section B, you can ask me. Do you need error checking for the pre-release? Now it depends on the pre-release. If your pre-release is asking you to verify something, then you have to. Okay, but you don't need to know error checking. You don't. Okay, give me a second, guys. So what I'm doing now is we're going to go over the pre-release, and this one now is for CVP. So for the people that don't do this pre-release, I have gone over section B throughout this stream, so that should be that. So I only have to do section B, right? As in, yeah, so right now I'm going to be going over another variant. So all the people who are doing variant 2, yeah, basically I'm not going to be going over that variant. Okay, so yeah, let me copy this. 1 second, guys. One second. We're going to start off with the first part of it. Do I do some errors? So I went through over errors, so errors, it's different for every question. Errors is different for every question. Okay, errors is different for every question. Okay, so now let me copy this question here. Give me a second. Can you go through the pre-release? That is exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to be going over the pre-release line by line. So for all those people now who are doing the pre-release, here we're going to do them line by line. Did I not copy it? Save it. Now CVP here, please. Yeah, I'm going over CVP here. The video I made on the Python code. Now is I'm going to do the pseudocode. We're going to go over all that. Okay, can you guys see this? This is the first part. Okay. You need to check every input in the pre-release. Yeah. Okay, so let's go over this question. This is the CVP. This is for, remember, this is for variant 1. So if you do variant 2, ensure that this is not the pre-release. We have different pre-releases. We have 3 types of pre-releases for each different variant. Why not variant 2? So I've been doing variant 1. Even the Python code is variant 1, that's why. But for you guys, I did section B. Just for you guys, I did section B. Okay, so I think that'll be good enough. Okay, I think there are many other videos for that. So here is the question. I'm hoping you guys can hear this. Okay, let's go over this. So first of all, this right here is task 1. This right here is task 1. Okay, this right here is task 1. So what do you need to know about task 1? Okay, what do you need to know about task 1? So for task 1, you need to know about setting up the arrays. Let me pull up the pre-release, the question. Okay, let me pull that.
Hey guys.
Oh, sorry about that. Give me a second. Give me a second, guys. So what I'm going to just pull up the question paper. Okay. And then yeah, we'll go over all the stuff you need to know about this. All the stuff you need to know about this. Where will I find this? In June 2022. Give me a second, guys. Paper 1 was easy. Yeah, I know. Paper 1, I heard, yeah. It's quite easy. That's what I was told. Okay, I found it here. Yeah, I think for paper 1, you guys would, there was, that's straightforward stuff, wasn't it? Yeah, this is just some straightforward stuff. Okay, by the time I get this paper, let's go over this. So the first things you need to know is setting up this array. How do you set up array? So in Python, to set up any array is, for example, for this one, you have to say first underscore name underscore list. Okay, then what you do is you write here and then you just leave it blank. This is how you write a list. Okay, this is how you write a list. So in pseudocode, now you see in pseudocode they're quite lenient. Okay, meaning, you know, everyone has their own way of doing the pseudocode. Okay, some people would put the arrow here, some people would not do that, but doing this is how you set up the array. Okay, so you're supposed to first of all look here, first name, last name, peer, entrance gate, painting and decorating, all that sorts of stuff. Can you explain how to do the flowchart? Yeah, and that's what I'm doing right now. So the first part of the flowchart, the pseudocode, let's do it here. So the first part, you have to say first underscore name underscore list, and then you just do this. This is how you set up an array. You have to put the value in it. Now you see in this one, right, you can put, of course, 0 in here, 0 to whatever, how many you want to store, but you see we don't know how many we have to store. Okay, for example, yeah, exactly what you're trying to say is like 1 to 5, but then, you know, that is only when we know how much we're going to store. If we don't know how much we're going to store, we can leave it as this. We can leave it blank, which shows that it will be appended later on. Okay, that's how we do it. So for all this, these are the ones, the arrays we need. Okay, this one will store the first name coming from the array. This one will store the first name. This one will store the last name. This one will store for all the people volunteering on the peer, the entrance gate, the painting and decorating. Now, what I've done for the joining day, joining month, and joining year, what I've done for these ones is that I have simply separated them in sections, because in the task, one of the tasks, they asked us if it is expired or not, if the thing is expired or not. And so to check if they're expired or not, you just look at the joining year or the year. Okay, can I memorize it in Python, or do I need to learn both pseudocode as well? You need to know pseudocode, but you see the way I did my pre-release, okay, I have put no, like, you know, any import packages or anything like that compared to others. So the pseudocode is quite easy. Like for example, for this part, if I want to write the pseudocode, you just write capital 4, okay, capital 4 I, and then you write here how much it is. So for example, for I in range, member number, okay. So it's as simple as that. So I don't know, guys. So I think the Python code will be good enough. However, if you want any guidance on the pseudocode or anything like that, then you can let me know. But I think the Python code should be good enough. Okay, I think the Python code should be good enough. So I would advise you to watch the video I made for the pre-release. Okay, watch the video I made for the pre-release. It will be helpful. Okay, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So you guys are good to go for paper 2. Don't worry about that. Pseudocode is just the English statement version of a code, to make it more simplistic, to make it more easier. So that's what you mainly need to know. I think there's not a lot to talk about this. Okay, there's not a lot to talk about this. Okay, because so just a quick reminder. Section A, we're going to look at this stuff, the pre-release. Okay, and this one is 20 marks. Okay, then section B, you will have the flowcharts, errors, you will have query tables. Okay, so yeah, these are the ones you need to know. So these ones here carry 30 marks. Now, yeah, with that being said, I think we should wrap this up, because the main thing is you need to understand your pre-release. Don't rely on someone else's pre-release, because if you rely on someone else's pre-release, you won't understand anything. You need to understand it by yourself. That's how you do well. You need to understand the pre-release by yourself. Okay, databases, yeah, that is part of query tables. Okay, so yeah, with that being said, I think there's not a lot to talk about pre-release. I know you guys wanted me to do the pseudocode for this, but you see, for my Python code, the pre-release the pseudocode is not hard at all. It's not hard at all. You can open your textbook and you will see that for a for loop, I just have to capitalize the for. Okay, I only need the pseudocode, right? Yeah, you only need the pseudocode, but again, you should know the Python code as well. So did I do the pre-release in pseudocode? I haven't done it in pseudocode. But then you see, the way I've done my Python code, it's quite easy to do in pseudocode. Hence why. So yeah, I think that's it for this live stream. Actually, I went over the section B's. You need to go over these different questions, and my advice to you is you go over this Python code, the one I did. Okay, print it out somehow. Okay, and then write it in pseudocode. Okay, if I have time, I'll write the pseudocode for you guys, and then on my community tab I will post it. Okay, if that's what you want, because many people are asking me for the pseudocode. Everyone just pseudocode. So after this live stream, what I'm going to do is I'll write the pseudocode, okay, and I'll send it on my community tab, because I believe that there's still some time to the exam, still maybe like 12 hours to the exam, so don't worry about that. So I'll send it. You can check the next day in the morning maybe, or you can check in some time. I'll be sending it. So what I'll do is I'll do the pseudocode right now off stream, and then I will post it on my community tab so that you guys can understand. But at the same time, you guys can do the pseudocode yourselves, because I have done the Python code, and this is the entire whole code you need for the pre-release. Now for the expected questions, right? Many people are asking me, what's a community tab? It's there on YouTube. If you go to my channel page, you will see the community tab. Okay. Now what you need to know for expected questions. Look here. The first question, always, usually in paper 2, they ask you for the arrays. They ask you about the different types of arrays, which array will store this, which array will store that, so on and so forth. Okay, that's what you need to do, okay, for the first page. Then you need to remember the pseudocode for task 2, for task 3. They can also ask you to say how can you change the expired year, or they can also ask you to actually increase the fee limit. It was $75. They can ask you, how do you increase that, stuff like that. So that's how you mainly want, do. So it's not that hard. Just quickly, go over the Python code and stuff like that. Yeah, so with that being said, I guess that's all you guys need to know. Keep doing past papers, and if you have any question, you can message me on Instagram or on YouTube. So yeah, with that being said, good luck, and yeah, just keep practicing. You guys will do well. So good luck. See you guys.